up, you guys? We are back with Behind the Bikini. We are back in our little quarters of the world now after being in DC together for the DC Pro-Am. And this week we are going to focus on a hot topic that I think comes up a lot, especially as we get into the depths of the season and people are really feeling the prep. And that is intimacy in bodybuilding and how to manage that as as you're prepping and as you're not, just as in general, you know what I mean? So it's a tough topic in general when we're talking about the sport because our hormones take a hit a little bit. So for episode 94, that's going to be our topic for today. And before we get into that, like, comment, subscribe, hit the buttons wherever they may be. And let's talk a little bit about what's going on this past week and coming up this weekend. You got a little bit of a behind the scenes view of what was going on with our commentary at DC Pro-Am. So that was a lot of fun. It's a crazy weekend. But we got through it. And one of the cool things about it is like our commentary was spot on with the judges, results. So I went back, I said this on the live stream that I was curious to see what our feedback, if it translated over to the judging scores, and it did exactly. So like we talked about the men's physique, Diogo did win with a perfect score. Then we talked about the women, and Tara and China were a point apart. So it was literally exactly what we were telling you on the live stream. So I emphasize that because it shows you there is a method to this. There is a judging criteria. There is bullet points that they are looking for when they are judging and things like that too. A lot of times people go into this sport like, what are the judges even looking for? This, you know what I mean? So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when, my first year competing and getting into the sport, I very much felt that way a lot. Like, what are they looking for? What is the criteria? Because I did feel like I didn't understand bikini yet, and literally kind of the look looks different all the time. But I feel like bikini is one of those things where there's the criteria, but every body up there is different, especially in the pro. So, once I really started going to shows and becoming a coach and like really getting into something on my lips, right? Really getting into the criteria to understand it better. So it's really cool. It's cool to see our eye has developed so much. The comment so fun. I've never done that before.
Yeah.
I was there's been commentary I've listened to before and I'm like, this is really bad, and I didn't want to be that person. So I did a lot of research and, Sean, you've been doing this forever. So it was cool to have, you there. I knew I had my sidekick with me. So but it was an amazing show. Really, really, really cool. And I love the sessions. I love the back-to-back sessions.
Agreed. So it was funny because when everything was over with, we were standing there. I think her name, who's the girl's name? Is it Riviera? She won the
Rebecca Rivas.
Thank you, Rebecca Rivas. Thank you. She won the bikini overall. And I was doing commentary still during the NPC women, right, during prejudging. So she had I think it was her friend or her sister or something, was listening to the live stream and listening to what I was saying. And I mentioned something about her needing to hold her tummy in during her transitions, her core. She's letting go record her. Yeah. So she went to her and was like, make sure you hold your core in. It's like, hey, it worked. And she was saying, she's like, well, the reason why I wasn't able to hold my core is that I had to go to the bathroom. She's like, I had to go pee so bad. She's like, but she went fix that. But she ended up winning the overall. You know what I mean? She looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I was saying that on the live stream, like, I love everything about her. She's just got to get that core control under control as she's going through those transitions. And
did you know that she was a body athlete?
Say it again. What did you say?
At the time she was a fit body athlete? Have you?
No, I did not. I did not know she was a fit body fusion athlete. That's the other thing too, guys. I hear this a lot too. Like, we can go into this a little subset on this too. Like they talk about politics and judging and things like that. I had no clue what athletes were even on the fit body fusion team. I had no idea. None. So
like, I've never seen her before. I'm like, oh, she's actually with.
Yeah.
It is always a great day when my Prozis order comes in. So this month I got myself a bunch of protein granola because I've been putting stuff like this in my yogurt every day. So I really like this chocolate hazelnut flavor. It's very, very good. So I got those. I got a bunch of protein bars. I take these with me all the time, anywhere I go, just in case, so that I have them on hand. So I never am without food because clearly my macros are very high right now and I need to eat a lot. So I have not tried this particular version yet, the caramel one, but I've had the zero protein bars before and they've all been great. So I'm assuming I'm gonna love the caramel. And protein cookies, which I have had these before. These are great. They taste like little sandwich cookies, but they have lots of protein in them as well. 19 grams actually, right there. And then this is my favorite protein bar from Prozis actually. It's very, very filling. doesn't have a lot of preservatives or anything like that in there, so it doesn't mess with my stomach. I really, really like this one a lot. This is my favorite. Let's see. We also got my complete breakfast, which this is a favorite among a lot of the girls that get Prozis stuff. Put this in with your smoothies or with your yogurt. I put it in my yogurt. It's fantastic. So if you have not tried this yet, this is something I would absolutely recommend. It's like a starter product from Prozis because everybody loves it. I re-upped on my spirulina. I got some more clear protein powder. I have another variety of the mango variety, but this is the green apple variety. So I got green apple this time to try that one. What else do we got? We got some detox, re-upping on that. And I got some clothes in here too. So I'll open up the clothes. I always show you guys the outfits that I get from Prozis. I always get an outfit every month too. So got a really cool outfit. I'll have to open those up. And then protein wraps. Last time I showed you guys wheat wraps. These are protein wraps. I like these ones better actually than the wheat ones. They're both good, but these ones are better. So I got a couple of those. So I'm stocked up for the month. Here we go. Here is the outfit that I got. So cute little sports bra, nice like soft blue, and then royal blue leggings with the scrunch butt. You gotta have the scrunch butt. Always gotta have the scrunch butt. You're doing leggings, right? So their leggings are always really, really comfortable and very high quality. So I'm sure this will be my gym fit in the next couple of days here.
But yeah, so I had no idea. I had no idea that she was part of Fit Body, none of that kind of stuff. I had never seen her before. To be honest with you, the name and like the look sounded familiar to me, but I really didn't know. I couldn't place it. And then it wasn't until after the show that I realized who she was. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And so that's why I bring this up too, because the judges have no clue who you are. They have no clue what team you're on. They have no clue who your coach is. They don't know any of those things. Also, you don't look at all on stage what you look like in real life. So it's like you can't put two and two together. Even if I've met you in person, I probably won't. I had a client on stage in that show. I haven't worked with her since last season, but she still was working with some of my posing and she wore my suit, everything like that. And she walked out on stage and started doing her routine. I was like, I think I know her. And I didn't realize who it was because she dyed her hair dark. So I was like, all of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, that's Samantha. I was like, I was like, oh, put two and two together. I was like, I actually worked with her. You know what I mean? So, and again, it's you look so different on stage. You are just a body up there. Like, that's it. That's all you are. So sorry to break it to you. You're just a body on stage, but we literally don't even realize. I didn't know, but
I mean, most of us are walking around in our daily lives like this,
that's
not
right.
our
Yeah.
stage glam, right? Like that's an
Yeah.
extreme, but that's where like most people in the industry would know you is like your stage look, right? Like nobody sees
Right.
you walking into your home gym Monday through Friday. So I
Mhm.
remember like the first year I got in the pro league, like people would see me like this and they're like, wait, who are you?
Mhm.
Oh, like, and then they would put it together. But yeah, we look completely different when we're off
Absolutely.
stage. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it was just funny to me because like I thought that was a good little point to bring up because you're right. I had no idea she was on Fit Body. I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I've seen her pictures pop up before. I knew she was, but it was after again. Once I put it all together, I was like, oh, okay, now I got it. Now it
Yeah.
makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's
So
really important too to talk about, like with stage suit colors and stuff, like your look, like once you find your winning look, like you kind of want to keep it the same because that's like the
mhm,
judges do remember like the stage look, if you will. You know, Nikki
absolutely.
just turned pro and then she just had her pro debut at, DC. She got first call out, sixth place. Like she wants to change her suit color. And I'm like, no, like now's not the
Mhm.
time to change your suit color. Like now's the time to keep it going because it's working, it's winning. They know
Yes.
you, they're expecting it, So I get it. We're all women. We love to change purses and accessories and things like that. But, look at me. Like I came out in that purple suit and they were like, no, blue is it. So it's like once you have your look, you
Yeah.
just gotta kind of stick with it
Well,
because it
just going on
works.
that same vein, Nikki reached out to me this week. She's like, "Are you going to be at the Nevada State?" I was like, "Well, I hadn't planned it. This is me being dumb here. I didn't even plan on it. It's right, literally, like 10 minutes down the street from where I live here." And I was like, "I hadn't even planned on being at the show because I was so focused on DC Pro Am, and then we got CP Pro going up. I hadn't even planned on it." So she's like, "Well, I figured, you did my makeup. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll do your makeup. So I'll see y'all this weekend." I was like, "I don't know why." I'm like, "I don't know why I didn't even think about that. I don't know why. I have no idea."
I mean, Nikki complains about her makeup all the time, and you did her makeup at DC, and she really, really liked it. So
Good.
when we threw in her Nevada, she was like, "Oh shit, I don't have a makeup artist." Like, well, call Sean. I'm pretty sure she's home.
Yeah.
And you were like, "Oh my god, there's a show in my hometown this weekend." Hey,
I was
thanks for
like,
doing
"No."
Nikki's makeup, but
I swear, like sometimes my clients will be like, I don't know how, because we have to switch like posing times depending on time zones and stuff. They're like, I don't know how you go back and forth. I don't know how I do it either. I'm like, I said to Jamie this weekend, I was like, I don't know how you keep everything straight with as
Me
many
neither.
clients as she has. I have no clue. I'm like,
Me neither.
this show literally just slipped through my head. I didn't even think about it. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll go. If they let me live stream, I'll stream it, you know, all that kind of
Perfect.
stuff. I'll do all that stuff, you know. I'll be there for at least prejudging. So
Yeah.
why not? Fuck it.
It'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything, just show up.
Right. I know. I'm glad she said something because I literally would not have put two and two together.
Oh
You
wow.
know?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I really am a natural blonde. I really am. I swear to God. I'm like, they're coming. I got my next appointment's on the 17th, I think. Hopefully we'll get back to blonde. I'm dying right now because I've got roots really bad. But I'm just trying to let my hair like sit for another couple of weeks before we go at it again. So I'm like,
Breathe.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, just a couple more weeks because I just don't want it to fall off, you know. That's all. But yeah, so this will be a fun week too. I'm excited about it. I just got back last night here to Vegas. So flights were great. Had no issues with any of that stuff. And actually this travel situation was a lot better this time than last time. Pittsburgh, I got sick. This time I did not. So I did some things like prophylactically as far as like immune boosters and things like that going into it. I told you guys before I take ivermectin. So I did that going into this trip and that worked out great. Um the one thing that people don't realize about the ivermectin thing is that it helps heal gut issues. So like I had no problem with going to the bathroom the whole time that I was gone. I was like, hallelujah, because that's usually a big
That's a
problem for
win.
me.
That's a
Yeah,
huge win.
that's usually a big problem for me. Had no issues with that at all. So I felt really good with this whole trip and everything. And then going back to what you were saying too with the look thing. So Lauren Lovato, Fit Body Fusion athlete, one of Jamie's athletes. She came to Cutie's conference stage, won the overall there. So she won a sponsorship with me. She just won the overall at Legions for Fit Model. So she's going into junior nationals. So going back to the look, love the red color suit on her. Wasn't happy with the fit. So we made some changes. So I actually just got that done. It's being shipped out today for her new suit. So she's doing junior nationals. Again, same color suit, but we're changing some of the fit part of it, just that it fits her a little bit better. So they're gonna know her look, you know what I mean? But we're just gonna make sure it's a little bit more amplified, you know?
Yeah, polished, dialed in, and that's the thing too with the fit model suits. I think all the suit makers are trying to like really nail down like what that needs to look like, and
Mhm.
how much scrunch and the 50%. It's like a wild west out there with those suits right now,
Yeah.
but it's still so new. It's still so
Yeah.
early on in the season for it.
Well, and part of it too was I talked to Lauren about it. Debbie gave her some feedback. She thought she was wearing her suit too low. The suit was too low. And I said, Lauren, you were wearing it too low. She didn't pull it up as high as I wanted her to. I said, that's a problem. I said, I know you like that look better. I said, but they're being really strict about that. So you have to remember to make sure you pull that all the way up, you know? So,
Yeah.
and those are things that you have conversations about, you know, after the show. Again, she realized that she was like, I think the reason why she said that is because I put it too low. I said, yeah, you did. I said, it's fine. Not a problem. We'll fix it for next time. Just make sure we do that correctly for junior nationals. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Again, why you get on stage before you go to nationals, you know?
Right. Right. And she still
So.
won the overall, and that's the feedback. And you just make sure that you capitalize on that. And that's why we do warm-up shows to get all the
Absolutely.
kinks out before the big one.
Absolutely. So yeah, so this will be a fun show. I haven't even looked at the list for Nevada State. Is it pretty deep?
um, I mean, yeah, there's definitely some good talent for sure. Yeah, it's kind of an open game here. The one Olympian is Naday, who
Mm.
does coach with Jamie. So that's the only Olympian on the list, but there are, girls that have been, cracking the top 5 and top call outs. So it's these are kind of the shows I like, because it's like, it's the doors open.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Well,
gonna
that's
be
what
good.
happened at DC too, because even though Tara was the, defending champion, other than that, it was wide open.
Yeah.
And that's where we saw China come out and shine, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And as a fan of the sport, so cool to see like new names up there. I know everybody gets excited when like new rookies are doing well, or pros that haven't really been cracking those first call outs. Now they're consistently getting into them. It's kind of like the new era of this year, and like the new faces.
Absolutely. And that always makes it exciting too, because then you start seeing people that you're like, oh, I want to watch for her at the Olympia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the exciting part. It's fun to have the OGs in there, but it's fun to see people come up and challenge too.
Totally.
So yeah, it'll be a fun week. As far as off season, how's your off season going?
Really good. I'm
Good.
growing like a weed right now. It's kind of very
Me
similar
too.
to, yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, I guess Drew's doing a really good job at his job. He can
Right?
keep his job.
I'm like, I don't even know where this is coming from, and why didn't I have this happen for the last fucking 15 years? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel really, really good right now. I'm maintaining at like 130 pounds. You know, I'm really comfortable at this weight. I feel really good. My energy is back through the roof, coming at a perfect time with, all the coaching I have going on in travel. But yeah, I'm growing like hand over fist right now. I put my side by sides together of this week's check-in compared to last week's check-in, and Drew's like, "Holy shit, your tie-ins are getting thicker and thicker and that's exactly what we wanted." So
Yeah.
yeah, it's exciting. I'm doing really, really well right now. Can't complain.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's crazy to see. I don't know what it is. It's like something once you have that last piece that clicks in, it's like everything goes into overdrive. And that's what I feel like has been happening since I came out there to see you guys, you know?
Yeah, I feel like just like the mentality about your off season is everything,
Yeah.
just like finding fun in training, like finding fun and really pushing it to the limit and training hard, versus like, oh, I have to do this today, or man, this is gonna suck. Like, yeah, every session sucks for me. Like it does. It burns, it hurts, but it's like finding like the joy in knowing that that kind of pain is only going to help me get closer to my goal. Like it really is a mindset.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, it's just if you've got everything else consistent, like your food's consistent, your sleep's consistent, whatever. If you got everything else consistent, you can just amplify that training piece. It's just going to take everything else up to that next level.
The next level, for sure.
So,
For
yeah,
sure.
that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into our topic.
Okay.
So, go ahead and take the reins as to why this came up as a topic for today.
Yeah. So this is something that I'm really passionate about. I have struggled with this for years. Many of you know I have a extremely traumatic childhood background. So, I've come into my marriage with a lot of these issues, but they were only amplified with competing. But I brought this on as a podcast topic today because I did have an athlete that reached out to me last week who is having some relationship issues right now, and she wanted to kind of touch base with me about like how Drew and I kind of find time for everything, right? Like our coaching and traveling and home life and intimacy. And I think it's really hard. It's definitely hard to navigate. It's also still a really taboo subject, in our world, and you don't really know who you can talk to and who you can trust and rely on. I'm pretty much an open book at this point. So she brought it up to me last week, and then I was in a conversation with somebody over the weekend, and she brought it up with her marriage as well. And I think people from social media assume that Drew and I have a perfect marriage. And while I love my husband so much, we definitely don't. I've been very vulnerable that we almost got divorced 4 months after getting married. We were in therapy right away, and our therapist saved our life. It was a sex therapist. And that was just because of all the trauma that I've had. Like I've never observed a healthy relationship. I've never, was hugged or loved on as a kid. So all of these like basic human things I didn't have, and I didn't know how to show my partner love and intimacy. So I've done a lot of self work on this. So I am currently working with another coach right now. She's an intimacy coach. Her name is Katie Hendricks. And if you guys are interested, I can definitely share her Instagram with you. She's amazing. So a lot of what I'm going to be sharing today is, the homework and, things that she's taught me and, kind of, helping you guys navigate that. I did put up a question box last night and a lot of you guys reached out. Every single one of you is going to be anonymous. So we're not calling anybody out here. We're just going to kind of bring up what you guys brought up and talk about those points today.
Yeah. And I think that you're right. This is one of those topics where it's difficult to talk about it because it makes you vulnerable, and it's hard to be vulnerable. You're already so vulnerable in this sport regardless. Like every day you're putting yourself out there to be judged, and so when you put this next aspect, you can almost segment it. That part that you're being judged on your physique, it's just your physique. And then when you start talking about your love life and your intimacy and all of those kinds of things, that is personal. You know what I mean? It's completely different. So allowing yourself to be open and vulnerable in this particular situation is difficult to do. So we understand that. And I just want to say ahead of time, thank you to everyone who did reach out and ask questions, because that just shows that this is something that we need to talk about. We need to be okay, but comfortable talking about. And you need to have a partner that you're comfortable in talking to them about this kind of thing too. That's where really where it starts, So it's not, it's not a weakness. It's not a negative thing for you, right? It's something that we all have to deal with in one version or another as we go through this. So we'll kind of talk about what's worked for us and what we think can help and those kinds of things, and then maybe that'll spark something that'll help you make a change in your relationship.
Yeah, totally. And I think too, it's like, before bodybuilding, how did you show up in this way in your relationship, right? Like, was this always an issue for you? Because I feel like prep only magnifies what you're
100%.
already doing and what you're already feeling. So, if you've already had issues with intimacy, sex, etc., prep is only going to make those feelings more
Mhm.
or even make your partner feel less than even
Right.
more. Or if you have no issues with these things and it's literally just a prep thing, then that's almost a little bit easier. And we'll kind of go into that. But 90% of what everybody wrote in of what they struggle with the most and want our advice on is just when libido starts to suffer, in prep. And I think that, most of the time, like 6 weeks out is when a lot of athletes are feeling this, right? Food is extremely low at that point, cardio is high. You also have to realize that hormones internally are changing. So, a big part of what you're feeling is not really necessarily something you can control, but it is something that you need to try to navigate. So most women want to know kind of how to do that, how to
Mhm.
navigate that, and how to bring that intimacy back into their relationship.
Mhm. And I think that what you just said is the key point: navigate, right? Because understanding that this is going to happen, or most likely, some people don't experience this. I'll be the first one to admit we've talked about this before. I don't, that's not something I personally experience, but it happens to a lot of people. And so, what you need to do is you need to sit down with your partner prior to all of this, prior to even getting into prep, and say, listen, this is typically what happens, and this is what could potentially happen as we go down the road. Are you okay with this? And as we go down this road, what can I do to make you feel loved and wanted and all that kind of stuff as we get into this period of time where maybe I don't want you to touch me as much. You know what I mean? So, and I think also something that is important about this is having this conversation, but even writing it down. Writing down like little notes and saying, listen, remember we talked about this. So, this is what we've decided to do in order to create that intimacy, that love language between the two of us when we can't physically, do what we typically do or whatever it may be. So that way, maybe have little gift cards or something like that and say, listen, this is my card to you to let you know I'm not feeling it, but what do you need from me? We talked about this prior. Let's make sure that we make this happen. I think that's one really big piece of that is make sure you have those things in place before you ever get into prep. So then that way, if that does happen to you, if that side effect does hit, you've got a strategy and a way to navigate it, like you said.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I bring this up with my athletes is like before prep, that's the time to talk to your partner and your loved ones about what to expect in the
Mhm.
healthy brain. You are at that point are fed, you're not tired, so you can have a healthy conversation. The deeper you get in prep, it gets a lot harder to have
Mhm.
those conversations in a
Right.
non-emotional state. So a couple of things that I thought of with combating this, because I do struggle with this, is the number one thing is to understand your partner and their love language, right? Like, and we have a love language of how we receive love, and we have a love language of how we give love, but we also have to understand how our partner receives love.
Right.
I know for me in particular, I do everything in extremes, right? So like I'm in an extreme sport, I own a business, like so everything to me is like huge. And I almost kind of paralyze myself of thinking I have to do these grand gestures when I'm in prep to make my partner feel loved. And at the end of the day, it's not the case. And that's something that Katie and I have been working on is like I keep telling her, like, I feel like I have to do like XYZ and I just don't have time. She's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Like bring it back down to the simplest thing. So number one thing, like anybody, is just like making your partner feel like you're thinking about them
Right.
and that we get so focused in prep on the meal prep, the cardio, and our schedules. And, we have to be very type A in this sport. And most of the time, our loved ones, our partner goes to the wayside. And I think the reason is because we know they love us and we know that at the end of the day that they have our back. So we know that no matter what we do, they're still going to be in our corner. But we need to flip our mindset of like, then we really need to make sure we take care of that person. And that person is also going to understand, like, sex is going to be lower or intimacy is not going to be as much, but as long as you're making that effort. And it's small things during the day, like sending them a text when you're at the gym, like, hey, I'm thinking about you. Maybe a little sexy text when you're at the gym or when you're away, or, leaving a note on their coffee mug. Like it literally, those things I've started implementing since working with Katie, and Drew's like, thank you so much for like making me feel important today. Like it literally is the smallest thing.
100%.
So it doesn't have to be these grand things where you have to like, go reserve a room somewhere and put all this attention and effort that you don't have. It's literally just making them still feel important in your life. And I think that's where partners start to get really frustrated, is when they feel like you're giving so much to everything else and nothing to them. And that's what starts to cause that animosity and kind of like that resentment.
Yep. And I agree with that too. It's the little things that matter. I'm a creature of habit. So I'm one of those people that if I get into a habit of something, I'm going to continue to do it. That's why we do so well with bodybuilding. But it's the same thing when we're talking about trying to make people feel like they are loved. You know what I mean? The habit of just sending them a quick text to let you know that you're thinking about them. Send them a quick little sexy picture or whatever it might be. That helps them to realize, oh, she does actually care about me. Even if she's not in the mood to go do more than that at that moment. You know what I mean? Because it does. It makes them realize, okay, this person actually does care about me. And the opposite is also true, meaning the partner needs to be doing the same thing for you too, right? Because I know that's a big problem as well. It's like sometimes you feel like you put in as much into it as you get out of it, right? So if they're going to continue to, if they're doing it to you a lot and you're doing nothing back, or vice versa, that's not good. There needs to be a back and forth, right? So realize if they're making an effort with those little things, you need to make an effort with those little things. Or if you're making an effort with those little things, ask them to make an effort for you as well. Those are the things that make a big difference at the end of the day. It just makes you feel loved, makes you feel wanted,
Yeah. And literally, like if you're the type of person, this is me, that where you just get so focused on your routine and your schedule
Mhm.
throughout the day that your excuse is, I just forgot. I just forgot. I'm sorry, because this has been told to me too by my coach and my husband. Like that's not an excuse.
That's right.
So I
100%.
have daily reminders set on
Yep.
my phone, and every day they go off at different times. And literally, it says rich wifey on there, which I don't know if you guys have been seeing that I wear that hat, which the meaning is like rich in love, rich in knowledge, rich in life. Like, so I have that on my phone so that when it comes up today, I ask myself, like, have I been a good wife today? Have I done something for my husband today? And it reminds me, especially on like a Monday or a busy work day. Like, so when I get that message, I ask myself, have I done something today? Yes or no. Okay, what am I going to do today
Mhm.
to make my husband feel loved, appreciated, supported? If he's in the office sitting next to me and that alarm goes off, I go and I'm like, hey, can I make you a meal? Do you need anything? Like, it's literally the intimacy or things that you do with your partner that you do not do with anybody else. I think that so much of the time we just think about sex, and it's like what
It's not just
Katie,
sex.
it's not about the sex. That's what Katie always said. It's not just about the sex. It's everything around it. It's how you
100%.
feel, how you talk, how you communicate. Like the sex is easy if all of that stuff is where it is. So if
Yes.
that's something that you need as a reminder, then set those reminders on your phone, because I know you're doing it to remember your supplements and
That's
remember
right.
meals. Like, why wouldn't we do that to also help support our partner if we know we're forgetting those things?
Absolutely. And that's something too, like you would never expect a business to be successful if they didn't go through processes and procedures. A relationship, a marriage is a business, right? You have to go through processes and procedures. It just is what it is. Sometimes you don't feel like it. Doesn't matter. You make them feel good anyway. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And then because if you don't, that's when things start to come back and you start to get resentful and all those kinds of things. And that's when the partner says this bodybuilding bullshit needs to go out the window and things like that, because you're not doing the things you were doing prior, and that's all you have to do. Again, just little things to show them that they care, that you
Yeah.
care. That's it. That's all you got to do. And again, going back to putting this into place before you ever get into prep, understanding what your partner's love language is, understanding what they need in order to feel wanted. Maybe it's acts of service. I'm an acts of service type of person. Maybe it's words of affirmation. It could be a million things. Touch could be the love language. Whatever it is, find out what they feel good about, and do that for them. And like you said, make it a process. Make it something where, okay, this is what I'm gonna do first thing when I get up in the morning. I'm gonna do it in the afternoon when I get a break. I'm gonna do it at night before I go to bed. There's your three touches throughout the day, right?
Yeah.
It sounds methodical, but guess what? Everything when you get into those 6 weeks when you're out from your show is methodical.
It
So
is.
you do what you got to do, you know?
Yeah, something that helped us way back in the beginning, which is not for us anymore is literally scheduling your sex, like literally like having a schedule with your partner. This works really well with partners that are both very busy, have, you know, very high strung jobs, etc. Like literally, you know, on like Wednesdays, Thursday, Sundays, like that's your time at this hour, no matter what, you make sure that you prepare. And that works in a lot of relationships because they know that it's on the calendar and they have to schedule and manage their day to be sure they show up for their partner at that time.
Right.
Again, not a lot of it's kind of 50-50, right? Like it depends on the marriage. Some people are like, no, I don't want it to be scheduled. And that's where we're at now in our marriage. But years ago, that didn't work for, you know, that worked well for us and this didn't. So I think you develop and you change, you know, as you continue
100%.
this. But again, in prep, like maybe that's a conversation you have 6 weeks out is like, hey, I'm really depleted right now. So I think what would help me is if like we have our days that we do it. And then I know like I need to, you know, structure my cardio differently on those days to make sure that I could be fully present for you. And ladies, I'll just say this too. Sometimes you just got to fake it till you make it. Like sometimes you just got to put that feeder on
That's true.
and know that, you know, as women, healthy, not in prep, it takes us much longer to get in the mood to get turned on than a man. Now you add prep and plummeting hormones into that, I would say that it probably takes double the amount of time to get into it. So, but once you're there, you're good. It's just getting there, right? So sometimes you just got to take those, you know, deep breaths, you know, maybe doing something before you initiate with your husband, you know, going into a bathroom alone and, you know, watching something or, you know, looking at yourself in the
I
mirror.
love how you're tiptoeing around. Just watch some porn, you guys.
Just watch, there you go. Watch some porn, like, you know, like whatever you gotta do to like get yourself in that mindset.
Oh, hey.
Just gonna say
Listen.
Just gonna say it. It works.
It does.
Works.
100%. You know, because, and then I wanted to bring up this part of it because on the other flip side of this too, a lot of women, you know, they date or they are married to men that are in the sport as well. So typically what happens to them is their libido goes through the fucking roof. So now you're
The
fighting two
guys.
things. Yes. Yes. So now you're fighting two things. You're fighting the fact that yours is diminishing and his is increasing. So now you got to figure out how to manage that as well. And I know that this is where, from what I've talked to a lot of ladies about, this is where the infidelity problem comes into play because he's just so out there needing so much and you just don't want any of it. You got to find a happy medium, right? And again, going back to this is where you make this something you talk about prior to ever getting into the situation, right? I've talked to a lot of guys who said it's a problem for them because they just feel like their hormones are through the roof, so they're jacked up as it is. But not only that, but they feel even worse, like as far as not being wanted, you know. So it makes it 10 times worse for the male. So think about it from his perspective as well. If that's the situation that you're in, sometimes you just gotta suck it up, like literally gotta suck it up, like just do what you gotta do, man. I mean, just saying, like it's you got to remember his hormones are a mess too. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm married to an extremely affectionate sexual being. And remember, I came into this not. So
yeah.
I've had to learn over the years, you know, what works for me and what doesn't. And I
Mhm.
will say, like, the more work I do on myself, like, that becomes easier and easier. Like, I remember when we first started sex therapy, I would always ask, well, how many days a week? And like, what's acceptable? And the therapist would say, like, it's not a number. Like
Right.
when you're truly like in it and working with your partner, a number doesn't matter. Like you could have sex once a week, but you're connected and it's intimate and that's enough. And then for
Right.
other couples, it's every day. But
Yep.
like again, intimacy is so much more. It's not just the sex, it's everything else around it. And I really do
Mhm.
think that like when you spend time connecting with your partner on a deeper level, that helps you want to do the physical act. But again, in prep, we have so many things that are going through our mind and we're so tired and we're so depleted that that's just kind of where you just have to force that thought. And I know for me, it's really hard for me to slow down, especially in prep. Like you're go, 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 go. Your head hits the pillow, you wake up, you do it all over again. So like thinking about sitting with your partner on the couch for an hour and like holding their hand and talking is like, oh, I could be doing so many other things. I could be meal
Yes.
prepping. But again, like it's selfish, right?
That's right.
Bodybuilding's a selfish sport. And that's where you really have to dig deep and be like, I'm not doing this for me right now. I'm doing this for my partner
Yep.
because you love them and
That's
you
right.
want to make them feel good.
Absolutely. And that's the key point right there. At some point you have to remember that when the stage time is over with, you still got to sit next to that person, right? So like don't screw your entire relationship up over a 6-week time frame. You
Yeah.
know, you chose them first before bodybuilding, as you should. You don't let them drop off when you're in that time frame also. Something else, I think right now is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, I think. I,
Okay.
I'm not, I could be wrong on that, but I thought I saw something about that on social media, of course. Thought I saw, anyway, regardless, men's mental health. For a lot of men, talking about this kind of stuff feels weak for them. It feels vulnerable. It feels uncomfortable. So, them not feeling wanted, a lot of times instead of talking to you about it, they'll go act out upon it. So instead, you need to take the proactive position on this and tell him it's okay for him to open up to you, that you're not going to throw that in his face, call him, weak or whatever it might be. Allow him to be vulnerable so that you guys can figure out what's going to work best for you, because I think that that's a really really tough thing for a lot of men to deal with, to just again just be open and honest and vulnerable, right? For women, we're more, that's just what we do. For men, it's not manly to do that, you know what I mean? So allow him to feel comfortable and safe with you, to be able to express that with you. That's a love language in and of itself, you know what I mean? But just allowing him to vocalize what he needs so that you can help him with that as well.
Oh, I love that you brought that up. That was actually one of my last sessions with Katie as we were talking about that, is like the ability to have an open ear when your partner comes to you about something, especially about like maybe something they're interested in doing in the bedroom and things like that. Like put yourself in the opposite. Like how would you feel about bringing something up to your partner and they shame you? I know that's
Mhm.
happened to me in past relationships and it's scarred me for life.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And then, like, if they're coming to you and they're saying, like, hey, I feel a certain way about this, or hey, I'm interested in trying this, like, be very mindful about how you respond. And the same should be done for you. If you're bringing
100%.
something to you're like, this is, again, a two-way street. And that's why, Sean started it with the bullet between the eyes. It's all in communication and making sure you're understanding how your partner communicates and setting those, expectations down. And again, as humans, you're going to continue to grow and evolve. And where marriages fail is that individuals grow individually and then they don't come
Yes.
back together. So
Correct.
making sure that you're both still growing, but then you're communicating with your partner what's changing or what you're interested in or not, and making sure that you guys can both level up together. Like Drew knows 2 weeks out from a show, he just kind of leaves me alone. Like if
Mhm.
I'm interested in being intimate, he knows I will come to him. But he defends me and he's like, I'm not gonna, she's 2 weeks out. Like if she wants it, she's gonna come to me. Outside of that, like we have a different dynamic. But
Mhm.
we've talked about that. That's
Yes.
our system. If
Yes.
you haven't had that and one partner is waiting on the other, I think initiation is really hard to gauge both sides. Like I think it's hard as the athlete to know, like, am I feeling well enough today to engage? But your partner's also trying to defend you and give you your space. So then at the end of the day, nothing happens. And again,
Correct.
these resentments just keep building up. And it's neither really either person's fault, just nobody's talking about it. And then just
That's
getting
right.
worse.
That's right. And I think you're right. Like the biggest thing is to have that open communication. Like I said, like otherwise you're right. It's just going to build up and at some point it's going to explode. One way or another, it's going to explode. And it either may be explosion in a good way where you fix everything, but most of the time it's not. Most of the time it's explosion in the opposite direction, right? It's like you said at the beginning of this, prep tends to bring out the good or the bad, right? To the extreme. So if you're not communicating ahead of time, it's likely going to bring out the bad. So this is something you really do have to take seriously when you're in a relationship and when you're getting into doing this kind of hobby, because it's not just like going and playing pickleball on the weekends. It takes over your whole life. It takes over how you sleep, it takes over how you eat, it takes over how you poop, it takes over everything,
Everything.
you
Yeah.
know?
That's something that Katie, when we first started working together, one of our very first sessions, she was like, you have to be perfect when you are an athlete. Like when you are up on that stage, there's not a hair that's out of place. Your makeup is perfect. The suit's the perfect color, but you cannot bring that into the bedroom. She goes,
Yep.
so like one of our first homework was assignments. Like what I love about Katie is we have these little coin terms. So one of the coin terms is allow it to be messy. like sex is messy physically and emotionally. Like
Mhm.
when you close that door and you are in that room with your partner, you are not Jordan, the Olympian. You are not Jordan, the coach. You are Jordan with Drew. Like at the end of the day, the rawest form out of yourself, and it doesn't need to be perfect. Let it be messy. And the
Yes.
second thing is, which is my new quote I've been using all the time, is who the fuck cares? She's like, you're going to do something. And what if it doesn't work out well? Who the fuck cares? If
Yeah.
you say something in the bedroom and it seems funny and like silly, like who the fuck cares? Like,
Right.
and every single time that I've stepped outside of myself and tried something new through this process, and literally like I say it, I'm like, oh God, oh God. And I literally tell myself, who the fuck cares? And it ends up just fine. So like,
Yeah.
I think like we get into this like, again, type A perfectionist like personality, and we paralyze ourselves with thinking that it has to be these grand gestures and this grand thing, and the sex has to be perfect. And at the end of the day, all your partner wants is to feel loved and
Yes.
special. They want a piece of you that no one else can see. And in the sport, you are very exposed on stage in a two-piece bikini all the time. So how are you going to make your man feel special? That's that moment for you. And it doesn't have to be big. It just has to be something that you two only do together.
Mm-hmm. And like you said too, I think that perfectionist aspect of, oh my God, what did I just say, kind of thing, comes from past trauma. You know,
Absolutely.
I've had the same issue that you have. You know, people throw shit back in your face. I mean, I think it's happened to more of us than not. You know what I mean?
100%.
So
100%.
it makes you more, you know, gun shy to share.
Yes.
You know, it makes
Yes.
you more hesitant to share, right? But also one of the things I think about in a scenario like that as well is if that person truly cares about you, if that person truly loves you, they're going to be there to accept that as well. They're not going to throw that back into your face. You know, if they do throw that back into your face, there's a bigger issue, you know? So I think being able to be vulnerable with the right person, you know, who knows, maybe going into a prep like this and you figure those things out, maybe you're with the wrong person. You know, maybe they don't support you. Maybe you're doing all the right things and they're just still not having it. You may find that out. I've seen girls figure that kind of thing out. I've seen guys figure that kind of thing out as they go through this process. Bodybuilding is very eye-opening as you go through it. You learn a
Exposing.
lot about yourself. You learn a lot about yourself.
I think this is a really good segue into a couple of other things that girls shared with us today. I had several that were asking about maybe partners that aren't supportive of them doing
Yeah.
this sport, and they have a tough time with their partner is having a tough time with them sending check-in photos to perhaps a male coach, and why that's important. They try to explain like why they need to be checking in a two-piece bikini, or just them, getting on stage, and kind of how to navigate that.
Yep. Yeah, and this is very common. I think this is one of the reasons why Fit Model has come about because it's a little bit more conservative than the other divisions. Not just muscle wise things like that, but just the overall presentation, the overall suit and coverage and all that kind of stuff. I think that's one of the reasons why they've done it the way they have, so that it's a little less exposing, right? But this is very, very common. You know, initially what happens too is if your partner is not in the same kind of lifestyle, they don't really understand the changes that your body's going through. They don't understand why you would want to even put yourself out there most of the time. Like, why do you want to put yourself in a bikini to be judged? Like, why do you want to do that? That's stupid. You know what I mean? So more so, I think for a lot of people comes from the place of fear than it does anything else. The fear of the unknown, right? They don't know why you're doing this. They don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. It looks like to them, it looks like a vanity thing. For you, it looks like an accomplishment. It looks like hitting your goals. It looks like being disciplined. It looks like doing all of the things right in your life, right? For them, it looks like you want to get on stage in a bikini so that people can ogle you. That's what it looks
Yeah.
like for them. You know, so you have to explain to them, and it's hard when they're not in this. It's hard to explain to them why you are doing this and why you have this goal and why this is so important to you. But again, it comes back to that communication aspect. And I can't say that by being communicative towards them is going to fix it, because a lot of times it doesn't. You know, a lot of times it doesn't fix it. If they've already got these rooted insecurities in themselves, if they don't really want to look at it, yeah, there you go, the insecurities. Yeah, a lot of it comes from them being insecure in you, being insecure in your relationship, being insecure just in general in themselves. A lot of times it has nothing to do with what you are actually doing. It's all the things surrounding you, right? Thinking that these guys are going to come and freaking grab your ass on stage and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's a real fear, but again, it comes from that insecurity. So what I would say, the best thing you can do in a situation like this, if this is something you really want to go through, and regardless of what your partner's opinion is, you have to keep them involved every step of the way. If you have a male coach and you check in with them or whatever, give your partner the passcode so that they can see your check-ins, so they know what you're doing. That if that's something that you need to do in order to make them feel secure and you competing, that's what you got to do. Because if you're hiding stuff from them, that's where those insecurities are just gonna mount up higher and higher and higher and higher. So just be open and honest with them and say, listen, anything you want to see, anything I send to my coach, you can see it, right? That should help them to settle their brain. Bring them to shows with you so that they can watch and see how the judging process goes. Get them, if you're a female, usually being around other women in this sport, if you've got a male partner or something like that, bring them around those other females who are in that sport. Show them what it's about, and that it's not just about getting up there and shaking your ass on stage, those kinds of things. So I think the best thing that you can do in that situation is just be as open and transparent with them as you possibly can.
Yeah. I mean, again, communication's everything. When I was seeing the women that were, writing this, I just kept thinking like insecurity, insecurity, insecurity. And again, this goes back to before you started competing. Where was your relationship at? Like, were you guys already having trust issues, or, what type of man is he, right? Like I could say for Drew, like he has always been very secure in who he is. So, my first coach was a male coach, and I never had an issue with Drew, being upset or, with my check-in photos or anything like that. But I always kept him involved from day one. Like I would send my check-in via email to my first coach, and I would always CC Drew. I'm working with Jamie now, and every check-in, I check in with Jamie on Trainer Eyes, and I always send Drew my check-in photos as well through text, like just keeping him involved. But the insecurity piece is very hard because it's not necessarily something that you can change in your partner. I think that, just like Sean said, the only thing that you can do is keep communicating and showing and having them show up to shows to maybe perhaps meet other athletes' husbands as well.
Yes.
So that they can kind of hear their perspective on it and their comfortability with it, and get a different lens from another male's perspective. So like if you're listening right now and your husband has not met your girlfriend's husbands that also do this sport, get together, connect. Like if you don't live in the same state, get on a Zoom call together and do a date night together. Like being able for a male to talk and be like, hey, like, how do you feel about her doing this? Like, what's your person? Like that can help. That can really, really help from, it's not coming from you. But again, like, that's a tough one, because if you guys were already on kind of like a shaky ground before you started this, then it's just going to expose that even further. And if the partner's just not supportive of it at all and not willing to have a conversation or, hear you out, and this is something that you're truly love and passionate about, it's probably going to expose your relationship a bit.
Yeah,
I'm just going to be very
absolutely.
honest with you guys. Like, it's probably going to expose your relationship and your dynamic. And, again, like if you and your partner are very sound in your relationship and each other, I will go so far as to say that even if he's uncomfortable with it at first, he's going to try for you because he
100%.
knows how important it is to you. And he knows he's understanding it's a sport. Like it's not
That's
you
right.
just stepping on stage in a two-piece bikini shaking your ass up there, right? So
Right.
somebody who truly loves and support you is gonna figure it out. They're gonna try, and maybe they're still not comfortable with it, but then you got to give them the credit for trying.
Yes. And I think also things that you can do just from, you're coming from a different perspective too, because you're a coach, but your husband also is a coach who coaches women. You know what I mean? So I think as a person coming into this sport, if you have a husband or a partner that is uncomfortable, you need to consider the coach that you're hiring too. Make that coach hire somebody that is not going to be a friction piece. If it's a male, make sure that male has somebody like you in the background, Jordan, who is a part of this as well. You know what I mean? I could see that being an issue, right? So maybe you need to get a female coach. Something I do, and I've done this with you and Drew several times. I send Drew over my training footage because he's designing my training, but sometimes I have like pictures or something I want to send to you guys, and I send them to both of you at the same time. I'm like, I just want to keep that communication open. Not that you're a jealous person or anything like that, but at the same time, like I want to give the respect at the same time too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think
Yeah.
that's important. I think that just showing that kind of respect from you as a client, from them as a coach, them as a wife, them as a husband, those things all come together. Again, show the respect up front.
Definitely. And ladies, there are male coaches out there that take advantage and cross the line.
There are.
Like if something feels
Yes.
uncomfortable and your husband's uncomfortable with it, they probably have a leg to stand on, right? So so if men are watching, does your woman need to check in her bikini? Yes, we do need to see the athletes in their bikini because the bikini shapes their glutes and it's the
Right.
stage look. Do they
Mhm.
need to check in naked? No, absolutely
Never.
never. Ever, never, 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 ever. Also, if your, male coach is at a show and they ask you to come check in the room and not bring your partner, I don't like that either. I think
Agreed.
that's weird. Like,
Agreed.
do I necessarily love when 100 people are in my room on show weekend? No, but I also want them to feel supportive and have their
Agreed.
partner in there next to them, right? And you just brought up the great point. Like Drew is a male coach with a lot of female athletes, but I'll go so far as to saying that he has a relationship with his female athlete and their husbands.
That's right.
He takes the time to introduce himself and create a
That's right.
relationship with them and make sure that he knows they know, like, I'm a stand-up dude, like I'm just here coaching your woman, like that's all
That's
I'm
right.
here for, like I'm here to support you and to support you, like,
Yep.
so if you're feeling like things are off with that male coach and then your husband's upset, that there are people out there that do not have your best interest at heart. So if something feels off, we've talked about this several times, but behind the bikini, red flag, run, run,
Yep.
run, run.
Yep. And again, this something for me, this felt like something that was a little bit common sense because I came from the modeling world, and the key with the modeling at any photo shoot is if you're going to go to do a shoot with a photographer and they tell you you can't bring somebody with you, don't go to the shoot, right? So it's the same concept here. If you go to see your coach and they tell you you can't bring somebody with you, don't go see your coach.
Correct.
Period.
Yep.
Period. If they're
Yep.
like, yeah, bring your friend, bring your husband, bring your girlfriend, bring whoever, cool, awesome.
Cool.
That's a green flag. That's a good thing.
Yes.
And again, like
Yep.
you said, you don't want a million people in your room at one time, but you want everybody to feel comfortable too.
Yeah.
Right. And you shouldn't be checking in with your coach naked either, which does happen sometimes.
It's never okay. That's never okay. So
Never.
we do not support that here.
No, absolutely not. And that's actually been reasons why coaches have been fired. I in the past, they got caught doing that kind of stuff. And it's just like, bro, you can't do that.
There's one that just happened at the beginning of this year. Literally, I know of the situation. He was kicked out of the industry. Like it still happens.
Yep, it sure
It's
does.
gross.
And it's stupid.
disgusting.
It's so stupid now too because everything is trackable. It's like, man, you can see everything. So it's like, why would you do that? It's just dumb.
And most communication is written. Like
Yes.
there's receipts everywhere.
Yes. Correct.
No, it's still mind-blowing to me, but people try to get away with what they can. They push the limit as far as they feel like they can.
Well, and the other part about this too is as we've talked about, this is a very vulnerable sport. So these coaches get you into a position where you trust them with everything. So when they start telling you to do these things, sometimes it doesn't sound that out of pocket. It's like, well, he's my coach, though. I trust him. You know what I mean? So you start justifying it, making it make sense in your head. When if you didn't have that kind of relationship with him already, you're like, fuck no. You know what I mean? Like, no, that's stupid. Why would I do that? But you've gotten so deep into this. And again, going back to your hormones, your brain chemistry, everything's a little bit off. It's like, it doesn't sound so stupid anymore,
Right.
So just have eyes in the back of your head and just remember these things. Like if you feel something in your gut is wrong, it probably is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah. Run. There's plenty of us out there that will take really good care of you. We do not need to see you naked. So
yeah, no. But your bikini, yes.
Yes,
so if you're a dude listening, bikini, yes. Nudes, no.
Correct.
All right, so this is a good one, and again, it seems like out there, but it's not. Maybe date ideas when you're in prep. Like, how do we date without food and alcohol being the focus, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you could probably chat GPT this and get like a lot of good ones, right? But I mean, it's literally just that. Like, don't make it food and alcohol focus. Like, you could do like the simple things like bowling, putt, go watch a movie, things like that. Some of the best date nights that Drew and I had in the early parts of prep was literally we just went to Target one night and we bought all of these board games and card games, and we had so many games at the house, and we would just play games all the time. We would have our friends over, do the pool. Like I think this is more of like a mindset thing versus like trying to come up with ideas. I think that we just tell ourselves like we can't go on a date if we're not going out to dinner or, doing alcohol. Literally, I just had an athlete of mine who is cutting for her wedding, and she texted me last night. She's like, Jordan, I've been thinking about a hamburger for a week now. Like, can I please go get an In-N-Out burger? And I was like, how about you make a burger at home that you
Yes.
can track in your macros, and you guys are
Yes.
doing it together as a date night? She was like,
Yes.
oh my God, it's amazing. Like, I never even thought about that. So it's literally like the simple things.
Yes.
Like, you can make a dinner with your partner at home, cook the dinner together, like enjoy the meal together. I think we overthink of these things, that it has to be these big elaborate things, and it doesn't. At the end of the day, your partner just wants to know that you've been thinking about them, and that you're taking the time out to just spend time with them.
Yeah. And that goes back to like, you can adjust things. Like, you don't, this last year, I was 2 weeks out from a show on Thanksgiving, right? So I was like, oh, that sucks. Like, no, we cooked steaks, I made vegetables, I did all the things that still fit into my plan, and measured and weighed and did sodium and did all the things I had to do. And we still enjoyed a Thanksgiving meal. Yeah, we didn't have the big bird and the stuffing and all that kind of stuff, but really that's just stuff. The Thanksgiving is about being together and experiencing that together. And again, I talk about this all the time. Like, I go out all the time when I'm in prep, all the time. You just have to know what you can and cannot order. Now, it may be silly, but I bring my own salt with me wherever I go. I bring my little digital scale with me everywhere I go. And that way I can still enjoy, I can still eat, and I can still stay on my plan, I can still make progress, and I can still be there with you. Right. And
You
I can
get a
still enjoy.
grilled fish or a grilled chicken and a plain veggie or a plain salad
Yeah,
anywhere. The problem
absolutely.
is people don't have the discipline. They look at that menu, they get hard eyes over the food, and then they make a wrong decision. But
That's
you
right.
can do it. You can do
Yes,
it anywhere. You just have to
absolutely.
make the right choice.
Absolutely. And that comes down to everything that you do. Like, if you go to the bowling alley to go bowling, don't go freaking get a beer at the same time or nachos or whatever. You don't need to do all that. You can still bowl and have fun.
Bring your food.
Like, yeah, bring your food with you, stick it in your bag. There's so many. That's the thing now too. Like, if you'd said this 10 years ago, this wouldn't be the same scenario. But there are so many people out there with food restrictions and things like that nowadays. This is normal for people to do this, to bring their food with them where they go, or have specific orders that they need to have made. So you can still enjoy all of the social aspects. You can go to the bar with your friends and get a soda water instead of getting your vodka and soda or whatever, to keep the vodka out, whatever. Get something that looks like an alcoholic drink, and still hang out and have fun,
There's been
There's,
so many pool parties that we had at our Florida house when I was in prep, and I literally had, a margarita glass like everybody else, and I literally was drinking like a bubbly
yeah,
water with like lime,
yeah,
and I was fine. Or
yep,
I put one of these in a wine glass. Like,
mhm,
literally, it's the social norm that you have to try to trick your brain into. Because I'm with you. Like, I remember the first 2 years, like, I did not go out when I was in prep. Like, I was so
yeah,
strict. I couldn't, because I was emotional around eating. I'm
yep,
a foodie. Like, but I know, I tell you guys this all the time. The more you do the sport, the easier it gets. Now I can go to anywhere and I can order a plain fish and an asparagus and be just fine. But I could not
mhm,
do that my first 2 years. It's
yeah,
very emotional, but you have
yeah,
to trick yourself. You have to find those things that make you feel like you're a part of it without actually doing those acts. And the times that I would cheat on my diet and be like, "Oh, I'll just have one glass of wine." And I would have one glass of wine, and then I was like, that wasn't even fucking worth it. Like, it
yeah,
really, you know what I mean? Like, you
yep.
think at the time that's what you need, and then you do it and you're like,
I
for
just did
what?
that the other day. We went out to dinner and I had ice cream at the end of the meal, and I was like, because I just really wanted it. It was tasted great, but my freaking stomach was tore apart afterwards. And I was like, that was not worth it. I can't even remember the last time I had ice cream. And I
Yeah.
was like, that was not worth it at all. Zero.
Yeah.
I'm not even prep. I'm in off season, so I can eat whatever the hell I want. I got 3,000 calories a day to soak up. You know what I mean?
You're not shy on calories right now.
No,
You're
I'm
fine.
not. I'm good. But I
Me
was like,
neither. I'm
damn
good. I'm just saying, like, it's funny though. Like, but again, the more we do this, the easier it is.
right. Yep.
Yeah, I just think that we romanticize like what it needs to look like a lot of the time. And again, I think that's where Katie's really helped me. Is it's not these grand, it doesn't have to be these grand things, and like getting yourself in a tizzy mentally over what this has to look like. Like, it's literally just bring it back to the simple thing. Bring it back to middle school, like where you
Yeah.
used to be like, "Do you like me? Check yes
Yeah.
or no." Like, literally write like a note of
100%.
airplane to your partner and throw at him from across your, like, those are the, like, just be silly. Like, I think we just lose touch with like the small touches, which make a
100%.
huge impact in your relationship,
Yep. Well, it's the same thing when we're talking about, it's so funny to relate it back to bodybuilding, but the littlest things make the biggest differences. Like we were
100%.
talking about with Nikki's makeup. It's like not spectacular makeup, but it made her feel amazing. She loved it. So that made such a huge difference in her confidence. It's the same thing when we're talking about relationships. It's not a big grand gesture to do a little "do you like me" note, but it makes them feel good, you know? And like that's what matters. That's what makes the difference right there.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
So what else? Do
So
we have any
that
other
was pretty
questions here?
much that was pretty much that was pretty much all of them.
Yeah. And I think, you know, it's the whole dating thing when you're in prep, to just kind of wrap that up as well, because I want to go from a different perspective, is difficult if you're not already in a relationship.
Mm,
Because if you're already in a relationship, I think what will happen is that person will understand, you know, a lot of times they'll start doing the same kind of stuff you do and kind of go into the same kind of routines that you do and things like that. So that's, you know, that'll tend to be okay. If you're actually trying to go out and date new people,
that's hard.
that's a whole other ball game, and I don't know if that's the best idea to do when you're in prep.
Yeah.
I have one client that's doing that. I've had a really, really difficult time with getting her to be consistent on anything. And most of the time when she checks in and her diet, her macros are all over the place, it's because she went out on dates that week. And I'm like,
That's funny you
which
said that.
I'm like, which one do you want? I'm like, do you want to get on stage sometime the next fucking year? Or do you want to fuck that guy? I mean, quite literally, that's what she puts in her check-in. So which one do you want? Like, you have to choose that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like we talked about this maybe a couple weeks ago. You know, I think we sometimes people get into the sport and they're single, and I feel like being single in the sport is so much easier because
Yeah.
you don't have to think about all these things, right? Again, it's a very selfish sport. So if it's just you, it's like, cool, I'm just doing my thing. Nobody cares what I'm doing, whatever. But then when you do start dating someone, goals might shift, right?
That's
Like
right.
those first 3 months in that relationship, that honeymoon phase, those hormones are strong. That's all
Mhm.
you want to do is be with that person and texting them 24/7. And of course, that's going to pull your attention away from prep. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
you dating girlies, I don't know how you do it. I don't know, but yeah, that would be extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Extremely difficult.
Unless maybe the guy is in the sport. If the guy's in the sport, then
That's
that might be
easy.
easier for you. You know what I mean?
And
To
that would be
start in
my
a
first
relationship that
advice
way.
is like
Right.
date a bodybuilder.
Right. Date somebody who
Date
understands
someone
what
who
they're
knows.
doing.
Yeah.
Date your gym crush. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there you go. You're good. So
Exactly.
that would be my best advice for that situation, because anything
Exactly.
else you're just not gonna it's just not gonna vibe. You know, that's unfortunately that's got to be a prerequisite for you. Like it just has to be if you want to try and do both. In my opinion, I don't know because I don't I'm not in that situation, but I would guess. You know, and that's what I'm saying. I'm like, at the end of the day, you probably would have to pick one or the other if you don't have somebody that understands the lifestyle.
Listen, all you single girlies out there, like Godspeed. Godspeed. Okay. Like Adair was over at my house the other night and she's on a couple of apps and we were like scrolling through the apps and there's like no good options. I'm
I
like,
know.
thank God I am
Listen,
married.
I
So
have
tell yourself that when things are
yeah.
hard, literally tell yourself that. Like, could you imagine dating again? Like,
Listen, I have
if you got a
6 year olds.
good man, keep that
You got to
man.
realize I'm in my 40s. Most of my friends at this point have been divorced already, or they're going through divorces right now. Most of them, and I'm like, good luck.
That's literally what I
Like,
think about when I'm really struggling. Like, I'll think about Drew being sometimes with another partner. You know, we talked about that, like, you know,
yeah,
where guys aren't
uh-huh.
getting what they want. And I'm like, oh no, that's not happening. So I need to show up the best version of myself. And then I think about being single and what I would have to deal with. And I'm like, oh no, like Drew is he's a god. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
so like
we're,
when you,
we're gonna snip that. You said
yeah.
it right to him. Drew is a god, right there. You're like, oh shit, you gotta
I know
put
he's
this
gonna
on
hear this.
repeat.
He's gonna be like,
This
yes.
is gonna be like your ringtone. Drew is a god.
God.
I love that.
We just gotta appreciate our good men, you know,
That's
like
right.
gotta keep
100%.
them happy, you know, and that's the thing.
100%.
It's like that's what goes back to that theater. Like, listen, there's not gonna be times where you guys want to do it. Like there, but you just do. You just
That's
figure
right.
it out, you know, and really work on your interpersonal relationship outside of the bedroom. Like that's, you know, that's the best thing I could tell you guys. And like the more that you guys like start flirting with each other and talking to each other outside of it, and the more effort that you put in, they're gonna acknowledge that you're putting in that effort and it's gonna make you want to keep
That's right.
coming back and doing it.
Yeah, and it goes always goes back to that old saying of if they want it, they would do it. You know what I mean? So if they want to be with you, if they want to continue this relationship, they will put the effort in. You have to do the same thing. If you
Absolutely.
want it, you got to do it. That's it. Again, it's not rocket science here. We're not, it's not that hard. If you want that person to still be in your life, if you still want that person to be by your side, you got to make sure that they know that you want that.
Absolutely. I love
That's
that.
it.
That's
That's
a good
it.
way to end it.
I agree. So I love talking about this kind of stuff. I know, like, again, we don't delve into this kind of thing a lot, but it's something that needs to be talked about. It's something that needs to be shared because it's something that a lot of us struggle with, in one version or another. It doesn't necessarily need to be the lack of intimacy. It could be like we said, maybe our partner has too much interest. I mean, there's a million different ways that we could slice this, but we need to be open and vulnerable with our partner, to be able to discuss this. And if you can't do that, or if it comes across as like a falling on deaf ears kind of thing, that might not be the right person for you at the end of the day, right? So you got to be open and honest about that with yourself as well. Get that communication open and crack it open and find out what's inside, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing you can do. I mean, we started the podcast, we'll end it with the same: communicate.
That's right.
That's
right.
everything.
That's right. 100%. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. We will be, I mean, if I can stream at the Nevada State this weekend, I will. If not, I'll just take some video behind the scenes and stuff like that too. So we'll get some stuff out for you. I'm looking forward to seeing you again, Jordan. He's like, in like 2 days. I know, right? So it'll be a fun time. Then we'll be back again next week with more fun times, more fun topics. And again, like we talked about, this came up because of client conversations and things like that. So if you ever have anything that you want us to discuss, please bring it to us. Please bring it to us. This is what we're here for. All right.
And we'll drop Katie's Instagram, if that's okay, Sean. I'll give you her Instagram and you could drop it in the show notes.
I'll put it right into the description box for you. Absolutely.
Perfect. That way you guys don't have to message me and you have it and you can reach out to her.
There you go. You're cutting out the middleman. I love that.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thank you so much again. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and hit those buttons wherever they are for episode 93, 94. I don't even know which one we're on anymore. 94. For Behind the Bikini. We're out.
Bye, guys.